Good morning, everyone. I am Ginger Yoder, and I am your Director of Family Ministries. And I'm holding this space this morning instead of Elizabeth, as she is on a much needed vacation. And we have with us a really wonderful guest minister, Reverend Deanna Vandeveer. Sorry, I practiced just like I told her I would, and then I messed it up. And she is a minister of love and liberation, affiliated with the Church of the Larger Fellowship, and after a very formational almost 2 decades in New Orleans, she now lives with her partner on the land of the Coastal Salish people known as the Suquamish, the people of the clear salt water. And this is where she soaks in and creates as much sustaining beauty as possible in this time of great unraveling. We will begin our service by acknowledging that the land on which our homes and our church were built were not uninhabited when European settlers arrived here with their ideas of conquest and ownership. For those of us who live in Moscow, Pullman, or other nearby communities, we live on the ancestral homelands of the Nimipu, called the Nez Perce by the French-speaking traders, the Palouse, and the Shitshumish, called the Coeur d'Alene. If you are joining us from another place, I encourage you to discover who inhabited or moved through the place where you now live in the times before colonization and genocide and where they are now. We pause and remember we live on ground that is sacred, ground that was stolen, ground that cries out for justice and for responsible stewardship. May our remembering help us find the courage to do our part to restore wholeness in the earth and all her peoples. And now let us join our voices together for words of welcome, the unison chalice lighting, and sung affirmation. Whoever you are and wherever you've come from, whatever your beliefs, whomever you love, and however bumpy your life's journey, know that you are welcome here. We are hoping that everyone here has a chalice or candle to light and something to light it with. Let's light our chalices together.
Hello from the Gibbler family, Marissa, Avi, and Loie. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek and seek to share.
From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung in every land by every tongue.
We have come into this room of hope where our hearts and minds are open to the future. We have come into this room of justice where we set aside our fear to name freely every oppression. We have come into this room of love where we know that no lives are insignificant. We have come into this room of song where we unite our voices in the somber and beautiful melodies of life. The Reverend Libby D. Stoddard, ordained in 1979, my apologies, Reverend Libby, penned this gracious welcome. And now we gather in Zoom rooms, so it was brilliant. An invitation for us to turn towards each other no matter what is happening in the world. We are a people who gather quite creatively in these global pandemic days. Not because we have answers, although some of us are known for our very strong opinions, but because we find strength and comfort, courage and encouragement, rest and hope in the presence of beloved community. Unitarian Universalism reminds us that we are already connected in an interdependent web of existence. It encourages us to relate to each other and every bit of the universe as holy. Our faith grounds us in a community of beloveds and nourishes our human longing to belong. We are here connecting, relating, belonging. Let us worship together, dear ones. I invite you to join in. Morning has come. I give thanks. This miracle comes every day.
Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. A new day dawns, once more the gift is in. Wonder fills this moment shared together. The light of peace here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Open our eyes to see that life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of love here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home.
What a gift to be with you in these joys and these sorrows, holding y'all in my heart, beloveds. I want to share with you that every religious professional I've talked to in the last week who heard that I was coming to be with you today sends their love. You are held so tenderly in the larger faith world, and I just wanted you to know that because I'm grateful. I'm so grateful to you and for you. And so are many, many other beloveds in our UU world. So thank you, friends. Let's take a breath, if you will. When I was much younger, there was a song, UNITY, that's for unity. Love a Black woman from infinity to infinity. And I really give thanks to Queen Latifah for conditioning me early on to know that a call for unity must include love for Black women. Friends, we're being offered a narrative of unity in this moment of shift in the nation. And may we be clear in the bones of our bones that unity includes Black, Indigenous, people of color, that unity includes trans, queer, gay, lesbian, non-binary beloveds, that unity includes disabled people and elders, children and youth, poor people, neurodivergent people, Muslim people and Jewish people, all of us, everyone. May we be clear that calls for unity must humanize us all. And as we breathe in and breathe out, entering into a spirit of prayer, of meditation, of stillness, may we invite into our beings, into this congregation, into our communities and this world, a deep clarity in our Unitarian Universalist trust in the intimate and ultimate unity of all. A clarity that knows we are all made of stardust, holy and non-disposable, not one soul. As we breathe gently in and out, may we bear collective witness to the struggle, to the pain, to the grief of so many lives lost, so many relationships broken. And as we breathe gently in and out, May we bring our attention to ourselves, noticing whatever may rise up in us, honoring what needs naming, letting go what needs releasing, offering kindness to whatever needs compassionate, tender care. As we breathe in and out, may we remember that we are whole and wholly worthy now of love and belonging, and so are our neighbors. We breathe in and breathe out and enter into a time of stillness together. We breathe in gratitude for this time together and breathe out hope for better days.
We have come in the light to this place, in the light with our hearts, in the light open wide. We are here in the light giving voice, in the light to the truth, in the light we divide. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love in the light, giving hope in the light we create, in the light better days. We are born in the dark, we are fed. In the dark we connect. In the dark through the veil. We are held. In the dark we are healed. In the dark mysteries. In the dark we reveal. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love in the dark, giving hope. In the dark we create, in the dark better days. Time is now. We begin where we are. We begin, we have all. We begin that we need to renew. We begin to release. We begin to rebuild. We begin to believe. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love. We begin giving hope. We begin, we create. We begin better days. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love. We begin giving hope. We begin, we create. We begin better days, showing love. We begin giving hope. We begin, we create, we begin better days.
Thank you, actually, Paul, for that beautiful blessing. I so appreciate. Blessings. We need so many in this moment. And this one has come from the Reverend Leslie Takahashi as our reading for this morning. Here in this place of peace, may we find hope. Here in this place of connection, may we find life-giving community. Here in this place of rest, let the unrest of our hearts turn towards justice. Here in this space, made sacred by memories of connection, let us feel ourselves part of the new that grows from the old in the spiraling unity of years. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. I've been so grateful to the Reverend Sekou and the Holy Ghost for their sustaining music as system after system of oppression and struggle is being broadly revealed. I'm also ever grateful to Emma's Revolution for better days. Thank you for singing along, friends. And while I'm naming the gratitude, let me give thanks to y'all that this is a live, in real time worship service, because this week it would have been especially difficult to have a sermon done and recorded and delivered by Wednesday. So much has shifted in our country and in our bodies since then. And so much remains the same. Perhaps this is true for you too. Many beloveds in my world feel safer in their bodies with a new administration that does not debate their humanity, while other beloveds still feel almost as threatened because they remember being harmed under an administration very like this one. And still others feel less in charge now and more fearful that if their worldview isn't centered, then their lives won't matter. It can be a bit of a hot mess, y'all. And here we are. And here we are. When the world is sick, can't no one be well. But I dreamt we was all beautiful and strong. I learned this tune at a gathering of white and multiracial folks who had come together in Oakland, California back in 2019 when I went to things to practice healing from internalized whiteness with facilitator Sandra Kim. And in the midst of our unlearning and learning, our sharing, our acknowledging of painful truths, we returned again and again to our breath, breathing in, breathing out, and again to song. When the world is sick, can't no one be well, but I dreamt we was all beautiful and strong. Unitarian Universalist minister, the Reverend Dr. Leon Dunkley, offers us this wisdom that we can sing our way through how difficult this is. I've seen a few memes this week shouting, "Science is back." And I want to offer a little science to support the spiritual wisdom that has been offered by the Reverend Dr. Dunkley. The vagus nerve is a long critical nerve that wanders from your brain all the way down your neck, chest, and abdomen, connecting the brainstem to the body. It's associated with a host of different physical functions, including swallowing, taste, digestion, heart rate. Activating this nerve basically tells your brain all is well. Little Julian of Norwich moment, all will be well. As well as stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system to relax you. And so your voice box, your larynx, is connected to your vagus nerve. And when you hum or sing, you naturally activate it, making it possible to literally sing your way through how difficult this can be. Humming and singing are resilience practices that allow us to move through pain and struggle. And it matters that we not underestimate nor take for granted this deeply accessible self and community care resource and practice. Some of you may be familiar with Brene Brown's wisdom. You are imperfect, wired for struggle, but you are worthy of love and belonging. I am happy to affirm that we are also wired for coping with struggle, especially when we are grounded in a faith tradition that affirms daily that we are worthy now of love and belonging, and so are our neighbors. Let's take a moment and rest in the gift of this sustaining wiring. I'm always grateful when I find it's a thing I already have access to. I don't have to go buy it or learn it, find it. It's right here. There is a therapeutic resilience practice called bee breathing that I'm going to invite us to practice together soon. You may be familiar with it. It's a practice you can bring to your family, to your work life, to your congregational life, to whatever grief, anxiety, depression, rage, any of those many feelings that we have, because feelings are made for feeling, that you may be struggling to cope with and to struggle through. So a content note here, if you have any allergies or triggers around bees, I want you to know we're just making noises here. There are no stingers in this practice, and you are always welcome to adjust your sound for your own well-being. So if you're willing and able, please let your shoulders fall away from your ears, take a breath, and on the exhale, begin to buzz like a bee. And again. And one more time if you want to. And now breathe gently. And notice the sensations in your body. Vibrations, stillness, or nothing. Whatever does or doesn't come up for you. Bee breathing can be an active way to reset your parasympathetic system. When you don't have that hour to meditate and you need to get to a sense of spaciousness and well-being in order to be present with those with whom you are, in close quarters perhaps. As you are willing and able, I invite you to just take a snapshot of this little gift, whatever you need to put it with you, have it accessible to you. I always want all our beloveds to have all the resources, and here is one for you. And as you're willing and able, I invite you to wrap your arms around yourself, a gesture that allows you to offer yourself comfort and reassurance, resting in the embodied truth that you are wired for struggle, wired for coping with struggle, worthy of love and beloved. Love and beloved. I do love that. I didn't write it, but I like it. You're worthy of love and beloved, y'all, right now. Thank you to all y'all who breathed, and to everyone who was like, I'm gonna watch this. We'll see how that goes. I see you. I give thanks for you. In his work, Decolonizing Wealth, Indigenous Wisdom to Heal Divides and Restore Balance, Edgar Villanueva centers the Lakota concept of all my relations. And he shares that all my relations means that everyone is at home here. Everyone has a responsibility in making things right. Everyone has a role in the process of healing, regardless of whether they caused or received more harm. All our suffering is mutual. All our healing is mutual. All our thriving is mutual. It's a particular Sunday to be joining y'all. There have been some changes. There have been some shifts. I'm in Washington. I see the news in Idaho. You're in Idaho, you may see the news in Washington. We got stuff going on. And this is a moment that we are in. And we get to ask some questions right now, like what might our experience of the world be like if our organizing structures rejected comparison and competition as primary modes of human relationship? What if we acted as if all of our suffering and thriving is mutual? What if we understood that no policy we make that harms or dehumanizes human beings and destroys or desacralizes the earth happens outside of the context of creating suffering for all of us? While Unitarian Universalist congregations affirm and promote respect for the independent web of all existence of which we are a part, gratitude to the ancestors and elders who framed that sentence. Our seventh principle: as humans, we are more likely to identify as one particular and limited strand of that web. And sometimes we act as if we have no connection or intimate relation to the whole of creation. Often our sense of loving, connecting, relating, belonging is narrowed and limited by this perception. I give thanks that our UU theology reminds us that we are wholly relational beings, invited to make perceivable the ties that bind us into religious community, into the human experience, into the story of the universe. A few years ago, the Reverend Meg Riley, now co-moderator for our Unitarian Universalist Association, shared a story from the time she was organizing with the language of love and connection. She shared, in Minnesota in 2012, some members of our legislature put together a ballot initiative up for vote that would have defined marriage as between one man and one woman. 30 states had already voted on such an initiative. 30 states had passed it. Learning from those losses determined that the only conversation that actually swayed undecided voters was about love. During trainings and at the end of the night of calling, we would all gather together and share stories of the most inspiring conversations. And one story in particular really stuck with Meg Riley. The woman who shared the story, like many Twin Cities residents, came from farm country. And lately, when she visited her elderly mother, she'd been dismayed to see signs all over town, including her mother's yard, urging people to vote in support of this bill, which would encode discrimination into the Minnesota Constitution. The woman tried every angle she could think of to persuade her mom to change her vote. Finally, exasperated, she said, "Mom, you struggled when we were young. We were poor, you were divorced. You've told me how hard that was." Her mother nodded in agreement. The woman asked, "Then why would you want to make other people's lives any harder?" The woman said the next time she visited her mother, a different sign was in the yard, a vote no sign. And not only in her mother's yard, but in several neighbors' yards too, in the heart of this conservative area. "I thought about what you said," her mother told her, "and I realized that all our lives are hard. We are not here to make them any harder. So I told my neighbors about it, and they changed their minds too." Reverend Riley writes, "Maybe that's the bottom line of what it means to side with love. It means that we say everyone's life is hard. Let's not make them any harder." Our lives are deeply connected to and through each other. The web is always there, waiting to be revealed. Canadian organizer Nikita Valerio declared in the tweet that went globally viral, "Shouting self-care at people who actually need community care is how we fail people." For this congregation to exist, each of us brings our energy and our gifts. And because this congregation exists, we are connected and relate to the care and gifts of so many others. Here we can choose to resist the lies of the patterns of domination, the impulse to divide, control, and exploit. Here we can choose to co-create a community of care, where we can all connect, relate, and belong, deepening our ability to bring courage and compassion to the interdependent web of existence, of which we are all a part. Here you will be rendered visible and beloved, witnessed, and found again and again. The liberation of humanness is not simply a matter of casting off an oppressor, writes Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker. It involves recollecting, rediscovering, and re-engaging powers of the soul that have been silenced, suppressed, split off, or denied by dehumanizing social systems. Now, some of you may know that I had a very formational experience of serving as a lay leader for a congregation in New Orleans, Louisiana, before, during, and after Hurricane Katrina and the federal flood of 2005. About 80% of the housing in New Orleans was flooded, and so was our church. As a collective, we had to decide if we were going to figure out how to continue as a congregation or give up. In this moment, we turn towards our history and realize that our congregation, founded in 1833, had already withstood multiple yellow fever epidemics. It was one of only 2 Unitarian congregations in the South to survive the Civil War, and it had survived firebombing during the Civil Rights Movement. We humans are often able to manage the impossible so long as we believe that it has been done before. And so after much discernment, the congregation decided that in light of the work of our ancestors to survive, surely we could and would rise from the floodwaters and remain a beacon of liberal religion in the Deep South. We may be wired for struggle, and we are wired for coping with struggle, knowing that we are worthy of love and belonging right now, together. As our Unitarian Universalist Association Leadership Council would come to proclaim in a vision for Unitarian Universalism in a multicultural world, adopted on October 1st, 2008, with humility and courage born of our history, we are called as Unitarian Universalists to build the beloved community where all souls are welcome as blessings and the human family lives whole and reconciled. Sometimes it feels like a lot, friends. I'm gonna speak for myself, but maybe it does to you too. And I want to invite us to take a breath, hum a bee buzz or a comforting tune to yourself, offering a blessing of care in this to your being, as you reaffirm your commitment to staying present to what is possible, even sometimes when it feels impossible in this ever emergent universe. It has occurred to me that living through this pandemic era is a little bit like living through a hurricane season that just will not end. The nervous system on high alert as we stay prepared for unknown damage. Maybe the storm will go west, maybe it'll go east, maybe it'll make a direct hit on your family system. High nervous system, be breathing, because it matters. It matters that we stay well together and connected in this time. This moment invites us to let go of our attachment to how things should be and live into the connections that are possible now. I saw in the note, still delivering brownies, if not having the parties in the yard, right? Zoom worship, care packages, video calls. A friend is crocheting prayer shawls. Phone banking, that's been big. Prison abolition and anti-racist liberation organizing, that's happening in real time. FaceTime babysitting to give some friends a desperately needed break. Recording stories for loved ones, spending time in nature, dancing in the kitchen. So much connection is possible in this moment. When we sing our way through the difficult times, releasing our expectations about how things should be, choosing to imagine how things can be more loving so we can connect and relate in real time, belonging to each other and even to this moment. Lucas Johnson, author of Community Organizing as a Spiritual Practice, offers, we have a responsibility to hold the power of love that we know to be true and to not allow the world around us to deaden that in ourselves. And Bell Hooks, author of All About Love, writes, one of the most vital ways we sustain ourselves is by building communities of resistance, places where we know we are not alone. Places like UUCP, where we can know in the bones of our bones that we are lovable, loved, and capable of loving. Every engagement we have with the world is an opportunity to connect, relate, and practice belonging. And it is our faithful work to resist that which divides, controls, or exploits us. This can be practiced in the ordinary course of life, though I feel like life is not very ordinary right now. The extraordinary course of life too. You can practice it all the ways. In what ways can your relationships expand with creative imagination to resource the world, offering and receiving much needed community care? In one particular Undoing Racism training, led by trainers from the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond, an organization to whom I owe a great deal of gratitude for the foundations of my own analysis about race and power, and which I highly recommend. A trainer called Mahdi asked us to do the following exercise. And so I'm going to invite you to participate now. If you happen to have a pen and paper around, that's wonderful. If not, I bear witness to your wonderful imaginations. So as you are willing and able, I want to invite you to think about one resource that you bring to the world. And if you have a pen or pencil, or marker or chalk. I'm going to invite you to write or draw that resource down that you want to think about, that you bring to the world. You can do this as a thought experiment. And now that you've identified one resource that you personally bring to the world, I want you to think about and write down, if you can, what will happen if you do not bring that resource to the world? What might happen if you choose not to bring this resource to the world? And then what will happen? Write that down or hold it in your mind too, that second consequence. And then what will happen? I'm asking us to be really present to this thought experiment, willing to do the work of looking past that first consequence of disconnection to the second, and then the third. I'm going to invite us to sit with that unraveling for a moment. And now I'm going to invite us to do this thought experiment in a more collective fashion, thinking about one resource that this congregation brings to the world. Take a moment and identify one resource that the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Palouse bring to the world, and write it down if you can, or hold it. And now think about what would happen if y'all did not bring that resource to the world. And then what would happen? And one more unravel, and then what might happen? In an interdependent web of all existence, our inactions can have as much consequence as our actions. It matters that we bring our whole and holy selves to the world and to each other, that we claim our connectedness and affirm for each other that we are worthy now of love and belonging. Every one of us, every bit of us. Thank you all so much for taking some time to unravel and get some clarity about what a necessary thread you are in this world. You as a human being, you all as a congregation. And may we sing ourselves and each other through the struggle. When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we was all beautiful and strong. May it be so, beloveds. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be. And I'll invite us to take that breath and join in, voice still and small.
Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still will remain, singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing. Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still will remain, singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing.
Our closing words are offered to us by the Reverend Ashley Horan. These words were first shared on the Holy Book of Faith in 2016. And here we are in 2021. You are loved beyond belief. You are enough. You are precious. Your work and your life matter, and you are not alone. You are part of a great cloud of witnesses, living and dead, who have insisted that this beautiful, broken world of ours is a blessing worthy of both deep gratitude and fierce protection. Whatever happens tomorrow, our ancestors and our descendants are beckoning us, compelling us on toward greater connection, greater compassion, greater commitment to one another and to the earth. Together, we are resilient and resourceful enough to say yes to that call, to make it our life's work in 1,000 different ways, knowing that we can do no other than bind ourselves more tightly together and throw ourselves into the holy work of showing up again and again, to be a part of building that world which we dream, but which we have not yet seen. May we trust that there is a love.
It has now come the time to embody our flame. We extinguish this chalice that it might grow gently in our hearts. May it light our paths as we leave this place. May it guide our way until we are together again.
Oh, beloveds, what a gift it has been together with you. May this time, may you feel it in your body. May you know that you are worthy now of love and belonging. May you know that somebody loves you. So many somebodies love you, and you have love to offer to the world. May you go forth with courage and encouragement, knowing you are held in a vast web of love. May it ever be so, friends. Thank you.